Hello, everyone, and thanks for coming to June's From the Bench virtual studio tour. My name is Sarah Songer, and I'm the program and studio manager at the San Francisco Center for the Book. And today we're thrilled to have Max Stadnik as our guest. Max's Garage Press and Tiny Splendor were founded by Max Stadnik and Sanaa Khan in 2012, and they currently have two locations, one in Berkeley and one in Los Angeles. It started out as a small zine making press, selling work out of a homemade wooden traveling gallery on the street. It has grown into a large warehouse space with resources for reso printing, stone and plate lithography, etching, screen printing, and much more. It now operates as a publishing press for artists around the world and as an open community print shop with over 80 members. And with that, we'll spotlight Max, and it's all yours.
Great. Thanks so much. And thanks for the introduction. And I also want to thank everyone for joining in this and spending a little time with me. Toward the end, we'll have a bit of time to do some Q&A. If you guys have questions out there, happy to answer, anything. There's no dumb questions. And I'm going to sort of start by just giving you a little bit of our history and how we got started. And it'll be sort of directed through looking through some photos that I've selected. And we'll cover that as well as like some of the projects I've been working on recently, and then sort of what we offer, what people can have access to through that and everything like that. So if you have questions, you can send them out in the chat and we'll get to them a bit later. But yeah, again, appreciate you all showing up, and yeah, I think we can just get into it. I'm going to share my screen, and give me a sec. I apologize for any technical things in advance, but should be straightforward. All right, so I think you all can see this, hopefully.
Yes.
All right, so we started the press. As was mentioned, we kind of have like these two areas that we started. One is called Tiny Splendor, one is called Max's Garage Press, and it's confusing. I think a good way of sort of thinking about it is Tiny Splendor is like our publishing name, and Max's Garage Press is sort of the physical space that we produce the work in, but it's also a community space that people can come and use and access resources. So starting out, you can see a photo here of what's called Max's Garage. And this is an old auto shop over in Marin County by the Civic Center in San Rafael that my grandfather built in the 50s. And he was an immigrant from the Ukraine and came here through sponsorship, and built this garage and also a house in the back. And so this has been kind of like in the family. And at a certain point after he passed and I was out of school, I ended up moving into the garage because it was just like I didn't have money. I didn't need to pay rent. I could just move into there. And it's actually still standing today. If you're in that area and you drive by, it still looks virtually the same. But this is a really old photo of it from that time, which I think is interesting to see. But basically, this is what it looks like now. It's still there. And this is how it looked when we moved in. And it was just a space that allowed me to start getting equipment, getting presses, getting things going, and building up my work, collaborating with people. And initially it was just me working on my own artwork, but also teaching a little bit and working with some galleries and stuff, producing editions, things like that. And so here's like an early photo of me in the garage. And initially we really set it up to be lithography focused. So my background and our background of like Sanaa and myself, were formally trained in stone lithography primarily under our master printer, Paul Rangel, who's a Tamarind trained master printer. So we're kind of like within the Tamarind lineage of like the philosophy around printing and revival of stone lithography and things like that. So it's just interesting a little bit to see some of the roots of where we started, and I'll start getting into like where we went. But here's a photo of me and Sanaa in our new space. So eventually we moved to Berkeley, and we're located like a few blocks away from the West Berkeley Bowl. If you're familiar with that, near Ashby. And so we, in tandem to starting all of this traditional printing and trying to like develop lithography and things like that, we also started getting into zine making. And this was really a way for us to gain some exposure and access to the art world a little bit because, we were fresh out of school. We didn't have a lot of connections or resources. And we were working odd jobs like our other partner, and I'll show you, there's actually four founders to everything. And me and Sana run the press up here in Berkeley. And at this point, we have a sister branch in LA that our partner Cynthia Navarro runs, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But um, so we were working kind of odd jobs, and our partner Cynthia was working in a copy shop, and we would like go in after hours and make zines and books and stuff like that, and just trying to get our work out there in some fashion. And that was the fastest, most approachable way to do that. So we sort of came up with this name of Tiny Splendor, which was sort of the brand that we started releasing zines under. And it's to this day, it's kind of like the brand that when we publish things, it's sort of like under the name of Tiny Splendor. It's sort of our outward facing brand that we do things around the world with. But let me just show you another photo here. So this is the four of us with our kind of wooden box traveling gallery thing. You can kind of see it on the sidewalk there. I think this was at a show we did in the Mission many years ago. And we really just felt, I think, starting out, a lot of sense of like the difficulties of entering the art world, and we didn't really feel like that prepared for it. So we just decided to like, let's just make our own gallery and put it on the street and sell stuff as best we can. So this is kind of like two currents that are happening at the same time. Like one is like building up this equipment and presses, and the other is like developing our brand and getting to know artists and getting our art into the world. And here's like some of our early zines. You can see a lot of it is like there's a lot of humor involved. It's kind of weirder stuff. But we've made, I think, over the years, well over 100 titles. Most of the titles are published in edition between like maybe a few hundred to 1,000. They do have a global distribution all over the place. So it's just sort of something that really helped us to connect with artists, to start collaborating, and to kind of build up a brand and sort of a reputation that we could use to put up art shows and things like that. So we've also done like many art shows with Tiny Splendor. And here's like a one that this was, I'm also forgetting the year, I'm sorry to say, but this is something we built in collaboration with Giant Robot, which is an LA based group of primarily Asian American artists. There actually was recently a good documentary that came out on, I think, KQED about them, which I would recommend checking out. But this is a show that we were included in at the Vincent Price Museum in LA. And we built this kind of like kiosk type structure to display our zines, and had this like neon sign made and like painted it and all these kind of things. And so it's a way for us not only to represent what we're doing and our craft, and to get that into the world, but also to provide representation for many, many, many artists and afford them opportunities through zines, but also prints. Here's a photo of we recently had this kind of 10-year anniversary show in LA. And we just like kind of filled the space. It's at this new bookstore called Heavy Manners. And this is me, Sanaa, and Cynthia, who runs our LA press. We just kind of filled the room with sort of ephemera and things that have sort of accumulated over the years and kind of plastered the walls with it so you could sort of see our history in this kind of visual way. So that was recently, that was last year. I'm gonna move a little faster here because there's a lot to go through and um, you know, anyway, so here's some photos I wanted to show of like, this is just an artist I've been collaborating with recently. This is June Bug. He's a good friend of mine. He's was born in Jamaica, lived in Texas a long time, and then resettled to West Oakland where we met. And he's now currently in LA. But I do a lot of work with artists, also producing work with stone lithography. So here's like an image that we worked on. Here's the final print, which you can see. And then I'm also working on a zine with him right now called Bean Boy, which is sort of like this autobiographical family history type graphic novel that is also kind of utilizes a lot of magical realism and science fiction elements. And uh, it's a big project that I've actually been working on for years. Here's another shot of it. And this is reso printed. They're not the best photos, but reso printing, for those that are unfamiliar, and we don't need to go too deep into that, but it really is a way that allows us to publish full color work very affordably and very quickly. And so, it has a certain aesthetic. It's printing one color at a time. Like to me, it's attractive as a printer because of the process involved, but it's very useful towards certain things. And so anyways, I thought it would be interesting to just see a little bit of this project I'm currently working on. Here's another shot of a litho project I did with a good friend of mine, Jeffrey Chung. And so, I'm simultaneously kind of working in this maybe lower brow zine world, and also trying to produce things like lithographs that are maybe a little bit at a higher price point and not quite within the same vein as that. But I think it is related, and I think a lot of what I'm doing is sort of trying to merge those two worlds together a little bit, because I think there's some good conversations that can be had between them and some good collaborations that can emerge out of that. This next one is, I'm going to sort of segue now. This is a shot of our annual print sale. So every year we host something called the East Bay Print Sale, which we started in 2013. And this is basically our main fundraiser. So, we currently have a 3,000 square foot warehouse space in West Berkeley. We have a significant amount of overhead. And what we do to help with our costs is every year we invite around 200 or so artists to display their prints in our space. Everything is unframed, unsleeved. We put it out in piles all over the place. And then we invite the general public to come in, browse, and purchase prints that they are interested in. Last year was our 10-year anniversary of running the event. And every year I'm just completely humbled and shocked and blown away by the quality of work and the turnout of people. And the volume of prints. I think last year we had around 17,000 prints in the event, and I think the turnout of the general public was somewhere in the ballpark of 6,000 people came through our space. It's really the only time that we open ourselves up to the public. We're not really a space where you could just show up and walk in and check it out. It's kind of like there's no real sign on the door. We're kind of tucked away. A lot of our membership is by word of mouth. And but that being said, we are open to anyone to come check out the space. And I'll kind of segue now to just talking about our space, what we offer, how it works a little bit. So this is a shot of one of our press rooms. Basically, we're membership based. So how it works is anyone is welcome to join. You can make an appointment. We'll orient you, get you set up. We provide things like storage. We have resources for things like traditional lithography, but also woodblock, etching, screen printing, as well as reso printing and lots of other things too. Our membership rate is $60 per 30 days of access. That gives you access 7 days a week between the hours of 12 noon and 9 p.m. And we're all volunteer run. So we have 21 volunteers that help run the space. They keep it open those 7 days, and they're great resources for people to be helpful in their projects. We have no real requirements for entry, but and a lot of what we do is kind of on the honor system, but we do require that people sort of have some working knowledge of the equipment they're going to be using, and we sort of determine that on their orientation. Let me show you a little bit more. So here's kind of, it's a little messy. This is a little bit of an older photo, but this is kind of like our RESO setup. And you can see we have 2 machines in the center that are for open access. They both print 11 by 17 inches. They're both networked with computers with Photoshop. We have, I think, maybe 12 color options that people can use. We have bindery equipment. We have a glue binder, saddle stitch, stapler, guillotine, things like that that people can come and use. We sort of recently acquired this vacuum press for screen printing, which is really nice. And it has like micro registration, and it's been very useful for using it. All right, so we're getting close to, running out of time. I want to just introduce this last element, which we recently acquired, this Mylander offset press. And I'm going to try to speed through this quickly. But we acquired it from a press in Brisbane called Trillium, which recently closed down, and it has a long history in the Bay Area. You may be familiar. They were trying to find a new home for it, and we had recently acquired more space. And for me, it's kind of been like a dream press for lithography. For those who aren't familiar with this, it's an offset press, but the beauty of it is that the beds are variable. So you can lower the print, the matrix bed down to accommodate something like a litho stone, a wood block, a litho plate, things like that. We've been doing a bit of monotype printing on it. The paper bed is also variable, so you can raise and lower that, and then it's offset. So it will take the impression onto that blue blanket, and then it will apply it to the paper. Everything's fully motorized and electrified and automated. So it has an ink mill, it has a water station, it has sponge rollers. So for me, this is kind of like the Rolls Royce of presses, and it's been a huge project getting it into our space. I spent about a few weeks at Trillium taking it apart, and then we recently moved it into our space and had to rebuild it. So these are the movers. The press itself weighs 24,000 pounds. and it's 18 feet long. So it's quite, the pictures don't really give you the scale of it. And here we are, we built like a gantry to raise the carriage up and rethread it onto the tracks. It's just been a whole journey. I've been working a lot with Tom Golio, who's an old acquaintance of mine, and he used to be the original press operator on this. So we've been working together to rebuild it, refurbish it. And here's me. We modified the press frame actually so that the second bed could lower down enough. We needed to get it down to 3.5 inches so that it could accommodate litho stones, because that's really the direction I'm trying to push this in. And it's really neat to me because since it has so much automated function, you can actually pull a print every 25 seconds. And for something like litho or woodblock or anything like that, it's a game changer in so many ways. And it can print 40 by 50 inches. So it's quite massive. It's definitely bigger than we're used to dealing with. But for me, this is sort of like we have this vein of reso printing and publishing, and I'm kind of trying to re-steer our course toward this press as like kind of our future investment in publishing. And then recently, this guy here, his name is Vladimir Schuster. He's based in New Jersey. He's an electrician that we flew out to update all the electronics. So the press was made in 1968, and it was running with all the original electronics, and he came out. He's maybe one of the only people in the world that can do this. And he rebuilt the control box, set up a computer, wrote up a custom program, completely modernized all the electronics. Here's like the new control box and everything. And so now we're at the point with it where it's essentially modernized. I need to do a little more work on getting the rollers refurbished and re-rubbered, which I'm working on now. But we have had the opportunity to do a bit of hand printing on it. So we kind of were just testing out like after the first rebuild before like getting all the electronics going. If the beds were level, the blankets were tight and things like that. So this is me working with a good friend of mine, Lena Gustafson. She also runs a press called Night Diver Press that's pretty cool, and you might check out. And we just made these monotypes, and going into it, my expectations are kind of low. For those that are familiar with monotype printing, you're typically lucky to get, you'll get like one good impression. You might get a ghost that's reasonable. Here we were able to get 6 good impressions from a single inking, and a lot of that just has to do with the way this press operates, and because it's offset and the way that it holds the paper, we're actually able to pick up and put down the impression as many times as we want without any paper stretch. And we don't have to dampen paper either. There's really virtually no pressure being applied. So the registration is like spot on no matter how many times you drop the impression. So it allowed us to produce just like an actual edition of monotypes, which I thought we might get 2 or 3, but we ended up getting 6. And Vladimir, who I was working with, was saying we should be able to get 10, which, this was my first go at it. So there's some more work to be done. But so yeah, there's a lot more stuff I could keep talking about, and we're getting down to the last 5 minutes. And I want to give people the chance to chime in and ask questions. I'll just show like a couple of things. We do a lot of reso based workshops in here. This is a flyer I just got back from Japan about 2 weeks ago, where I was teaching a reso class and doing some shows and stuff. So just gonna show the flyers for that. And I like to travel and do little pop-up shows, and we do a lot of art book fairs. And but we also offer reso workshops in our space every month if anyone's interested in that. just send an email. We can put you on our mailing list. Here's our color chart. That's my last slide. So yeah, we have quite a range of things that you can access here, and we're open all the time to new members. And yeah, that's basically the long and short of it. So if you all have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thanks, Max. That press is astonishing.
Yeah, here it is.
Did it just magically fit in your space? You just happen to be able to drop an 18-foot press?
It's like a perfect fit. Like we just got the space and it's just enough room to fit it. We had to like take the door frames out and stuff to get it in. That's why I had to disassemble it a lot, was because to get it in the building, there's really no other way to do it. But it's pretty wild. I have a bunch of videos of how it got installed and stuff, but there's not enough time to show everything.
Sure. Gail also was astonished by a litho print every 25 seconds and asks if the inking is automated.
The inking's automated, the sponging's automated. It's even big enough where you could conceivably split the fount and you could probably run 2 colors at once, which is kind of
Well, congratulations. And you said that you're planning on using that. So yeah, I mean, with that kind of volume, that's expanding your publishing.
right. It's kind of like with reso printing, as you may or may not know, it's so fast. It's so accessible to people, and litho's where my real kind of passion is.
Yeah.
Like this is sort of a way that I'm hoping we can kind of merge those worlds together, where I can output at a bit of a higher rate with a little bit more ease. And thereby like making things a little more inclusive, like bringing the price point down and things like that.
Nice. Cindy has a question about the shop and the sort of membership model, and how many artists do you have sort of coming through and as members at any given time, and whether people are doing a lot of reso or other kinds of printing.
I'm just asking that. I am an artist in the shop.
Oh, okay.
Great presentation, Max.
Thank you.
It's just something that I wonder myself, because a lot of times when I'm there, I can't get a sense anymore. And I've been coming to the shop for about 10 years, I think.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And I just kind of wonder how many people, if you could estimate, are coming in and using the shop these days. And is that mostly reso? Not so much. It's hard for me to tell.
Yeah, I think primarily a lot of people are coming for reso because we're probably one of the only places where you can gain open access to that in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
There are a few other spots, but in terms of like the capacity we have and the equipment we have, it's probably about it. But there are a lot more people coming in right now. We do have on the books around 80 members, but that doesn't mean they're all active all the time. So lately it's been busy in here. I would say on any given day we have between like 2 to 5 people working, and there's a lot of screen printers right now, a lot of resewers, some people doing woodblock printing, stuff like that. There's not as much litho going on as I would like, but I am in the middle of teaching a litho class, which I do kind of rarely, and they're small, but something I'm looking to get more into.
Yes, thanks. Great.
Do you ever do reprints of your Tiny Splendor editions?
We typically don't.
Yeah.
We usually put out a large edition. We almost never reprint anything. I kind of have a weird superstition around it, and like when I do that, things have tended to go poorly in the past. And
like technically in the reprinting process itself.
There's some kind of magic in the air when you make it the first time that you can never really recreate, I feel like. And so we try to do a lot out the gate, and there's usually so much stuff we're trying to do in general that we don't really even have time to reprint.
Fair. Well, we're pretty much right at time. Again, if people, so you teach the center's Riso gave up the ghost and we haven't been able to replace it. So Mary's not able to teach at this time. So we're hoping that'll change. But I mean, I do direct people to you. So you said send you an email, like get on the mailing list if they're
Yeah,
interested in workshops.
appreciate that. And also, I'm a resource for a lot of people for resos around the Bay Area if you need help or,
Okay.
sourcing and fixing stuff. I do that a lot too. Let me know. But if you guys want to take a few more minutes and cover a few more questions, I'm happy to do that. But also, up to you all.
Yeah. Does anyone want to chime in and ask a question?
I want to know more about the RESO thing. What is your class? How long is it? What cost? And what are the advantages? And does the artist need to separate the colors ahead of time?
So for the RESO workshop, you do not need to have any prior experience. You don't need to separate the colors ahead of time. We'll help you do that. And we cover that. The cost is $75 for that day. It runs roughly from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., 2 or 3 p.m., depending. There's usually around 8 people in the workshop. Everyone will get the chance to make 20 prints of one image in 2 colors. We'll help you select the colors. We'll help you break it down. We tend to output things through Photoshop, but you don't have to use it in that way. We don't expect you to have any kind of necessarily digital experience background. But I do find that utilizing the RESO is a really great tool for learning Photoshop. And it's kind of a good meeting point between digital and analog skills. So yeah, let me know if you have any follow-up questions to that.
Yeah, what size RESO print?
So the max size you can just do with RESO printing, except for some really specialized equipment, is 11 by 17. And so in the workshop, you will print at that maximum size. Paper-wise, we typically don't print on anything heavier than 80-pound cover stock and not much lighter than 20-pound text.
Okay.
Thank you. Give us your address to get on your email list, please.
Oh yeah, sure. If you send an email to maxsgaragepress@gmail.com, you can also Google it. You just type in Max's Garage Press, hit contact. You'll be able to find it there. And I'll put you on the mailing list. We can also arrange private workshops. I'll just be upfront, the workshops fill up super fast. Like we just announced the June workshops and they filled up within half an hour. If you find yourself not getting in and you want to do it, like if you have 4 people or more, we can arrange for a private workshop.
Great. I'm glad you're doing this. We get a lot of calls from people.
Yeah, there's a lot of demand, and our main goal here is like providing resources to people affordably. And I think RESO is a really good gateway into the print world because it makes it accessible for like someone who's just drawing on Procreate or like making digital art or something, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, it's on a screen, but I need something physical out of it, and RESO is like probably the most instant gratification, immediate way to make a nice looking print. And I've just seen so many people start in that vein and get interested in other areas branching off from that. So I think it's a really great way to just widen the print community in general.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you everyone for coming. We'll see you perhaps next month. If you want to join us on July 6th, we'll be talking with Lyle Harris. She actually used to live in the Bay Area. She's a book artist, painter. So you'll get a feedback email in a few minutes with a link to register for next month's talk if you're interested. So thank you all for coming, and thanks again, Max. And I'm sure you'll be inundated with mailing list requests.
Yeah, thank you all. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and thanks for checking it out.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.